Hello, kababayan, and hello, YouTubers. Today we're going to be discussing about the matters going back to America or going to America in regards to COVID 19. Now, if you are a non US citizen or non US immigrant, you are required to be fully vaccinated unless you have a document stating that you cannot be vaccinated. If you are a US citizen, a green card holder, or a US immigrant, you're not required to be fully vaccinated. 90 days prior to your flight, if you ever get sick and tested positive with COVID, you need to document that. So it's very important that if you get sick, you better get tested. Because if you don't get tested and you thought it was just a regular cold, the day before you fly back to America, you're going to test for the RT-PCR test or the antigen. There's a very high chance that you will test positive. So if you test positive, you're not going to be able to fly. So, but if you document that you were previously tested positive, then it works out for you. It will help you out. So within that 90 days prior to your flight, let's say you got sick and then you tested positive. So you got to have that document that you got tested and you were positive. And then also, you got to do the mandatory isolation where you isolate yourself and you have a 10-day minimum recovery. And of course, you got to show no more symptoms of the COVID and you're no longer infectious. So once that's done, so prior to your flight, you have to go to your doctor. Get a document from the doctor stating the date that you got sick and you were tested positive. And then how severe was your illness? Was it mild? Was it symptomatic? Was it severe? So he needs to document that on your paper. You also need to state that you have completed the mandatory isolation period. That's the 10 days I'm talking about, minimum 10 days. And then you also need to state on that paper that you're no longer infectious and you're not going to get people sick, other people sick. And he needs to also indicate that you're free to travel and he's documenting that you can get on that plane. Now, that's all that you have to worry about. So I know a lot of people been messaging me in regards to this situation. They're so nervous, they don't know what to do, and they don't know if they can fly back. But as long as you document, the earliest, the better before your flight, the better it is for you. Now, if let's say you didn't get sick and you got sick like a few days later or a few days before your flight, you're not going to be able to fly because you still need the 10-day isolation period. So if you tested positive the day before your flight, you're not going to fly because your doctor is not going to be able to fill out a note or a letter stating that you got sick long time ago, that you did your mandatory isolation recovery, and that you're no longer infectious and you're free to travel. He won't be able to do that. So if you get sick right before your travel, you're going to have to stay minimum 10 days isolation and recovery. Okay, so if you get sick 13 days prior to your flight, you're in good hands. So count 13 days. So if you have a flight, count 13 days. You want that to be your number, that's the day or the last day you can ever get sick. because 13 days prior to your flight, that gives you enough time to do your testing, your mandatory isolation and recovery, and then to be non-infectious and show no more symptoms, and you're free to travel. So you need that buffer. So you don't want to get sick right before the flight. So anyway, so now let's go back with the 90 days. So 90 days prior to your flight, if you ever get sick, and then you're recovered, okay, that's the key. You gotta be recovered in that 10 days. Then you can get that letter from your doctor, and then when you test one day before your flight, you test positive, you're okay because you already recovered, and you got a doctor's note indicating you recovered, you're not infectious anymore, you're not going to get anybody sick, and you did your mandatory isolation period, and you're free to travel. So that's how you deal with this situation. Okay, so everybody, please don't worry about that. You're going to be okay. You're going to be able to fly back. Okay, so the non-U.S. citizen and non-U.S. immigrant, when you get to America, within 3 to 5 days of your arrival, you need to do an antigen test or PCR test. If you test negative, then you move on with your life. If you test positive, you need to quarantine for 7 days at your own home or at the hotel where you're staying. Okay, so I hope this information that I just gave you guys, it's clear. And if you guys have any question, just message me, please. And if you like this video and it's helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you think other people need this information, please share it to them, share it with them. And then also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. All right, guys. So I hope everything is helpful for you guys, and I hope everybody is gonna be calm and, how do I say this, informed. And now we know what to do when we get sick and we're going back to America. Now we know the rules. All right, kababayan and YouTubers, I love you guys.